We do have quite a few attendees who registered, actually over 400. This will be the largest attended webinar that we've done. So please bear with us if we get a little behind on the questions. I just have one person with me. My name is Lillian Barnes. So just to introduce myself while we're waiting. My name is Lillian Barnes. I am the operations manager of the Grants Online system. So I oversee the help desk and I oversee our developer staff that does the coding for the system. We have also with us assisting me Yvette Bowser, who is going to be monitoring your questions. She is on our documentation management team, and she's the one responsible, along with one other person, for most of the training and guidance documentation that is available on our website. So we're going to do our best to keep up with the questions as they come in, but if we are not able to answer them right away, we will utilize the time after the presentation to address your questions. All right, the count is continuing to go up, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I have on the screen, you should see the agenda that we have laid out for today. We're going to start off with some questions about progress and financial reporting. The first question I have here is, who gets notifications and when? Very good question. We actually have a chart on that can be accessed from our training page to answer those questions for you. So I am going to navigate back to the login screen for Grants Online. And just as an FYI, I am going to be doing our demonstration in our test system. Our test system currently holds the code that we will be deploying to production next weekend. So not this weekend coming up, but the following weekend we're actually putting a new release of Grants Online out into our production environment. And so what you see in this system now is what will be in production in another week or so. One of the things you do not have on your current version of Grants Online is this red Need Help button. So we've added this button to make sure that there's easy access for you to know how to get access to our help desk when you're on the login screen. Even before you log in, if you need to contact our help desk, you can click on this Need Help button and you will get our help desk phone numbers, our email address, our operating hours. In addition to that information, you will also get some links to some resource material, our glossary, the overview of Grants Online, which is a PowerPoint slide, and then this top one is probably going to be the most useful one to you, our training site. And from this web page, we have links for the various user groups that we have in Grants Online. Both the overview and the glossary are also available from this web page. And then we have links for our grant recipients, which is your group that is on this particular webinar. We also have a link for resources for our federal program offices, for our grant management personnel, and also for those who are proposal reviewers during the pre-award stage. So the important link for you will be this third one here, the grant recipient training resources. From that link, you will see that there are several items here that will be useful for you. And if you scroll down to the bottom of this page, number 15 at the very bottom of the page is reminder notifications for progress reports, financial reports, and special award conditions. If you click on this link, the Grants Online notification chart, and let me make it bigger for you because I know it's pretty small. Let's see if I can move this around a little bit. And Let me see if I can increase the size so that you can see it a little bit better. Hopefully this is a little bit better for you. All right. So on this chart, we list the various types of notifications that we send out for progress and financial reports. So wherever you see PPR, those are for our progress reports. Then you have your SF425, and then you have some that are combinations. So for the advanced reports, we actually send out two, not the reports themselves, but notifications. We send out two notifications before the reports are due. And this tells you that the type of notification. We send out one notification for each report. For progress reports, we send it out to the person with the role of recipient investigator. That is your principal investigator or your project director, also sometimes called the PI. So whoever is set up in the system with that role, that is who will get these advanced notifications. If no one is set up in Grants Online with that role, then it will go to the authorized representatives and recipient administrators. The recipient administrators are the folks within your organization who are responsible for setting up user accounts within your organization. There's also a copy sent to your federal program officer. In the case of EDA, that person is called your project officer. The first notification comes out about 45 days, calendar days, before the report period end date. So that's about 6 weeks out. And then there's one additional one that's approximately 2 weeks out. So you get two advanced notifications to let you know when your progress reports or financial reports are due. Same thing for financial reports. Then once the due date comes up for your reports, you will then, once the reporting period ends, because you will not be able to submit your reports until the reporting period ends for that particular report. So once the reporting period ends, then you will get the next day a notification that says that your project progress report is due. And you actually have 30 days to submit that report. Now, if your organization has multiple awards, then you will get one notification for each award that your organization has, and it will list all the reports that are in the not delinquent status. Not delinquent means that the reporting period is over, but the 30 days is not yet up. So you're in a not delinquent status and you have 30 days to submit your report. This notification also goes to the same people as the advanced notifications with a copy to your project officer. And again, this one is sent maybe about the second or third day after that 30-day period begins. You get one more about a week out before the report is due, before that 30-day period is over. So you actually get two more notifications before the report becomes delinquent. Okay? The financial reports have the same cycle, except the difference is financial reports go to your person that's set up with the business/financial representative role on your account. So somebody does need to be set up with that role. If no one is set up, again, it will go to the authorized representatives and the recipient administrators. Once your report becomes delinquent, it hasn't been sent in within the 30-day period, then we send out two additional notifications. We send an initial delinquency notification, and it goes to your project officer, it goes to the PIs, it goes to the authorized representatives, and the finance folks, okay? and there are no CCs. These are all the 2s. So it'll go out on the 1st of the next month after those 30 days are over. And then it'll go out the 1st of the following month if you still haven't sent it in. Finally, there will be one more notification that may be sent out, a notice of enforcement, okay? This one goes, again, for EDA, the grant specialist is also your project officer. So this one does not go to you as a recipient. This particular notification goes to your project officer. It lets them know how delinquent this particular report is, and just informs them that if they wish, they may choose to take further action. There is nothing in the system that does any automatic action at this point. It is now up to your project officer to make a decision if further action is needed. So that is our reporting cycle in terms of notifications, who gets them, and when. The next section, let me just stop and just check if there's, I believe Yvette is answering questions, but let me see. Do you have anybody? Any questions right now? Okay. Not working, not working. I went to the phone. So some people can hear me. Hopefully the person who's having issues will be able to get those straight. Can the PI also be the administrator? Yes. So in terms of roles for users in Grants Online, yes, many of these questions have been answered, but I'll go ahead and answer some of them to the entire audience. So in case anybody else had these questions, one person at a recipient organization can have all of the roles. So one person can have multiple roles. The converse is also true. Many people can be assigned to any one role in Grants Online. We have a very great range of the types of recipient organizations, from very, very small recipient organizations to very, very large universities with lots of authorized representatives. So it is very flexible in how you set up the user accounts. Again, you may have one person with all roles, or you may have multiple people on each role. Can the reports be sent to more than one person? The reports in Grants Online are not sent to anyone, so that's a good question. The reports are not sent to anyone. The notifications are sent. The reports are actually just sitting in the system on the grants file. So it is up to someone in your recipient organization to navigate to that grants file and pick up the report and begin the work on it. And I will show you how to do that in just a few minutes. Okay? And that is true of both the progress and financial reports. The SF-270, which is also a financial report, is in a slightly different category from the SF-425. The SF-270 doesn't have a due date per se. The SF-425 has to be turned in on a periodic basis. The SF-270 is normally used to request payment of funds. And so that is used whenever you need funds. There's no due date for it. And so it is not being phased out, in my understanding, and it's not being phased out right now. EDA uses both the SF-270 and the SF-425. We will provide the link to where you can find these materials once the webinar is over. But again, they will be available on your training website. All right. We will get into ASAP drawdowns and the NOAA portal process in just a few minutes. So hold on, and hopefully we will answer all of your questions. All right, so those are the questions that I've seen so far. I'm going to go ahead and talk about how the reports are submitted and who can submit them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip back over to my Grants Online screen, and I am going to log in as a recipient. So I'm in my test system. I am using an award that's not a real award. The recipient is actually a real recipient, but the award is not a real award. So let me just go ahead and log in. And I do not, in our test systems, we do not have the passwords for any users, any of our production users. We don't have their passwords. What we do is sometimes we'll make a copy of our production database, so we clone it and we copy it over to our test system. So we have the data from the production database, but in doing that, we also wipe out all of the passwords. We don't have access to them, and we create our own passwords so that we can use these particular records in our testing scenarios. I'm going to log in as a recipient. And let me make sure I log in with the right password. There we are. Okay. So I've logged into Grants Online. When you log into the system, you will first of all come to our advisories page. And most of the time you will see on our advisories page within our production system, you will see announcements as to when we may be having maintenance, system maintenance. Our system maintenance is usually conducted on Friday evenings between 8 p.m. and 12 midnight Eastern time. However, whenever we're deploying a release, like we will be doing next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, we will have a longer downtime. So it will probably be down most of the weekend next weekend, but it will be up when you return to work on Monday morning. Other than that, Grants Online is available 24/7, other than our maintenance times. All right, so I am going to show you about progress reports and how to submit them. Again, there's not going to be anything in your task box. This particular task is on managing the award users. So there's nothing in this particular user's task box about financial or progress reports, but they do actually have a couple of reports that are due. And at this point, the way I think I set them up, they are past due. So how do we get to them? There's a couple of ways to do that. All right, I am going to the Awards tab, and I'm going to click on, first of all, Search Awards. If you only have 1 or 2 awards that you need to submit the progress reports for, this will work for you. And I'm going to go ahead and search for the 1 award that I set up for the demo. 18. Let's see. All right, and I'm not putting in the entire award number. I'm only going to put in part of it. I don't need to put the entire award number in, and search. For you as a recipient, you can just put in just a little bit of what you need in search. I'm going to click on the grant number for this particular grant award. So I'm on now what is called the grants file. You can think of the grants file as a big accordion folder where you put all of the documentation related to this particular grant award. And I'm going to scroll down on the page. So as I'm scrolling down, you'll see a blue box that gives you a lot of at-a-glance information about your award. Scrolling down a little bit further, you can click on these links to see the award documentation. And then finally, down at the bottom of the screen, you will have a section for financial reports and a section for progress reports. So these are what we call placeholders. The system generates these placeholders, again, right after the reporting period ends. So in this case, these reporting periods ended on 3/31. So on April the 1st, these placeholders will be generated for that particular reporting period. Because we don't generate them prior to the end of the reporting period, you will not have the ability to submit a report early. You can only submit a report after the reporting period has been finished. Let me start with the progress reports. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the ID number right here beside the word progress report. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, there was one other thing I wanted to show you. The other way to find your reports is under here, under the Search Reports tab. So you can search awards or you can search reports. And I'm going to put in, it's the same set of characters. And I'm going to click this little checkbox. This is important if you want your financial reports to show up. This is the only way you're going to get the SF425. So make sure you click include reports with no start date, which are your SF425. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull up all the reports for that particular award number, but you can also narrow it down to just your delinquent reports or just the ones that have not yet been submitted, which would be delinquent and non-delinquent. You can look at submitted, accepted, or all. So I'm going to keep both of these radio buttons at all reports and click search. And as I scroll down on the screen, I see the same two reports that I saw on the grants file. This way I can pick them up directly from the screen. If I had multiple awards, I would see all of my reports together on the screen instead of having to go grant file by grant file to look at each individual set of reports. I can pull all of my reports for all awards on this particular screen here. All right, so I said I was going to access my progress report to show you how to submit it. I'm going to go ahead and click on Performance Progress Report. And notice there's no blue boxes here, no action drop down for me to do something. I have to first click on Go to Performance Progress Report Detail. Okay. All right, so now this is my progress report detail screen. There's really not much to it at all. The main thing you want to know about is your attachment link up here so that you can upload your reports. So you should be preparing your reports outside of the system, however you do it, PDF, Word, however you do your reports. And then you're going to upload them using this plus sign right here. So we're going to add an attachment by choosing a file off of our desktop. And we're going to look for a test file, test attachment 1. Okay, so this is going to be our progress report. Excuse me. I'm going to save attachment. Make sure you click Save Attachment, else you will not have uploaded your attachment. You want to make sure that you see a line on the screen that shows the name, the description, and the created date, the date that you actually uploaded that attachment. If you made a mistake, you can remove it and upload the one that you want. You can also upload additional attachments. So you just continue to click on the plus sign and upload as many attachments as you want. If you want to supply some comments just to clarify all of the various attachments that you've uploaded, they would go into this box. The comments that you put on this box will not appear in any workflow. And I'll talk about that in just a few minutes so you can see the distinction of the comments going in this box and the comments going in the workflow box. As you scroll down on the page, everything else on the page is just display only. There's no There's no other data here for you to fill in. So at this point, we're going to click on Save and Start Workflow. Oh, I do want to show you right here. So notice it says nothing found to display where it says Principal Investigators. So in this case, this particular organization has not set up the Principal Investigator. The person that I am logged in as is actually the authorized representative who has full access in Grants Online to do everything that needs to be done. But you can see right here that no one has been set up as the Principal Investigator. We'll take care of that in just a few minutes, but for right now, we'll go ahead and click Save and Start Workflow. It's got to pop up. Do you wish to proceed? Yes. Now, I have not submitted this to the agency yet. When it says Save and Start Workflow, it's actually giving you the chance now to start the workflow. You have now created a task in your inbox. Whoever has started this action, they now have a task in their inbox, and that task will now allow them to forward the report to the agency. If you don't take this action right here, let me just show you over in Inbox and Tasks. See right here where it says Review Progress Report Not Started? That is what you just saw on the screen. So if you do not take that action, it stays in your inbox. So make sure that you understand it's a two-step process. On this drop-down, you want to click Forward Progress Report to the agency. Now this blue box here where it says Your Comments, these comments are going to show up in what we call workflow history. See the workflow history right here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a generic comment here. And now I'm going to submit. Whatever you write in this particular blue box, these comments will be included in the email notification that goes to your project officer to let them know that you have submitted your report. So they will see your comments in their email along with the rest of the information on their notification. I'm going to click the Submit button. Are you sure? Yes. And now that task has left my inbox. I can see what happened to it by navigating back to that same document. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my black links up here at the top, which we call breadcrumbs. These links allow you to move back to a previous page that you were on in Grants Online. Grants Online is a 13-year-old system, so one of the things that it was not coded to do is to use this back button. Do not use the back button on your browser, but instead we have these links up here that show you the previous pages that you visited. And so I'm going to click on the progress report that we were just on. I no longer have blue boxes to take an action because I've already submitted this to the agency. However, I can still look at the details page. Notice now it says this document is locked. So I can't do anything about my attachment. I cannot remove it now because I've already sent it in to the federal agency, but I still have the ability to look at it. So I'm going to cancel off of this screen. Take a look at the workflow history. This shows here that you have now forwarded the progress report onto the agency, and look here at the comments. So any comments that you put in those workflow comments boxes will show up in your workflow history. And you can see that you have forwarded. Now let's take a look at what that looks like on the grants file. Because I still have the grants file in my breadcrumbs, I don't have to go to the awards tab and search for it again. This is one way to get back to my grants file. But there's also another way. From the screen, I can scroll down on the screen underneath Associated Documents, and Here's another way to get back to the grants file associated with this progress report. On the grants file, if I scroll down, you see that the status has immediately changed from delinquent to submitted. So the status is a real-time update of what is going on with your progress report. All right, let me check over here to see if there are any questions that I can answer. Let's see what's going on here with our questions. Okay. Let me see. So, talking about creating an account, I submitted my report online. I noted it is still noted as delinquent. How do I determine what needs to be done? For this user, it could be that you didn't take that second step. Remember I showed you, you not only have to click Save and Start Workflow, but you also have a second step that you need to take the drop-down option and forward it to the agency. Now, if you are not the authorized representative filling in this progress report, you may not be able to forward it to the agency. If you are a principal investigator, PI, and you have not been given the submitting PI role, and that is completely controlled by your organization, whether you are a submitting PI or not. A submitting PI can submit the progress report directly to the federal agency, so they can submit it directly to EDA. However, if you do not have a submitting PI role on your account, if you're a regular PI, your option will be forward to authorized representative. It will not be forward to agency, and only the authorized representative who has signature authority will be able to forward your progress reports to EDA. Okay? Let me see. The grant award notes that you have a biannual reporting schedule, but the portal has you set up as quarterly. Okay. You can have your program officer contact our office via the help desk. Contact the Grants Online office. We should be able to work with them to make sure that the setup in Grants Online matches the documentation that they have sent you in your grants award. So that could be handled outside of the system. We should be able to take care of that. Okay, let's see. Some questions about Grants Online and ASAP.gov. They are indeed two separate and distinct applications. Grants Online is what we're doing our demonstration of right now. That is the system that is used by your project officer to process your application and turn it into an award and route that award to you as a grant recipient. ASAP.gov is actually a system at the Treasury Department. And what happens for a grant award is that once that grant award is signed by the EDA grants officer, there are some funds. The EDA funds are then transferred to the Treasury Department and set up in the ASAP.gov system so that you can go over to the ASAP.gov system and draw the funds down. If we have time, we can get into a little bit more details for that, but that's just at a high level. There is a question about what does non-interface mean. Good question. Very observant person there. Let me just show you here this label, non-interface. This is really more important for our federal folks that are processing applications. There is what we call a system-to-system interface between Grants Online and the Commerce Business Systems, which is our financial accounting system. when we set up awards in Grants Online, we have to move the accounting information into our financial system. Only for the bureau called NOAA does the award get sent into our financial system via our system-to-system interface. Currently, EDA is not set up so that the data is processed via the interface. So for EDA awards, actually a human person has to retype in some of the data from Grants Online into our accounting system. Okay? All right, let's take a look at our financial report. And we're not going to go through the whole submission process now, but I'll just go ahead and take a look at it in the system. So for the financial reports, it starts just like the progress reports, where you don't have your blue drop-down boxes because there's no workflow on it yet. It's just the placeholder in Grants Online. But you can access the placeholder, click on this link, and now you have all of the data fields that correspond with the SF-425. This particular link right here will not work in our test system, but in our production system, this link will pull into the blue box the data that we have gotten from our accounting system, which has been sent to our accounting system from Treasury's ASAP system. This will tell us how much money you've actually drawn down on your particular award. So the cash receipts box here is basically the cumulative amount of funds that have been drawn down out of ASAP for this particular award. Now, because the data has to move from the ASAP system into our Commerce financial system, and then it has to move from the financial system into a secondary table in the financial system, and then from that table, which is their warehouse, into our Grants Online system. So this data is moving from through about 3 different systems before it gets into Grants Online, and that it takes about 3 days for the data to move through all of those systems. So when you make a drawdown in ASAP, it will take about 3 days for us to detect that drawdown in the Grants Online system. So if you make a drawdown on the very last day of your reporting period, and then you try to fill in your financial report on the first day that is due, this particular link will not accurately capture that last payment that you made. You will need to wait a couple of additional days to fill in, to get that data from that last payment to filter down from ASAP into Grants Online. So I'm not going to go through every box here and explain every box. That's really outside of my field of expertise. But you would just fill in all of the data here, and then you have a Save and Start Workflow button, just like we have for the progress report. Notice this note right here, cash on hand greater than $5,000 unless the negative $5,000 requires an explanation. So that's a trigger point in the federal agency in EDA. If you have more than $5,000 cash on hand, which is the difference between how much you drew down and how much you actually reported as expenditures. It's basically the difference between these first 2 blue boxes up here. How much you drew down and how much you actually spent out of the money that you drew down. The system will calculate that here as cash on hand. If that number is greater than $5,000 or less than negative $5,000, you must click on this link here that says View Remarks and enter in some kind of a remark to explain why the cash on hand is so great. Okay? I'm not going to go through the whole workflow for this one. I'm going to go ahead and cancel off. You also have this print button. You can print this form, so that's just an FYI. Let me go back now to our agenda. Okay, so we've talked about who gets the notifications and when, how they are submitted. When can the reports be submitted? The reports can be submitted again starting from when we create the placeholder. So from the time we create the placeholder, any time after that, the reports can be submitted up until the award is closed out. So even after the report status, even if it becomes delinquent, as soon as you submit it, that delinquent status will be changed to submitted. If the report is sent to EDA and your project officer sends it back for some revisions, you have another 30 days to make the corrections and send it back. If you sit on it for another 30 days, the status will change again to delinquent. So just bear that in mind. Let's see. Let's see, how to include attachments. That's a good question for the financial reports. You actually don't have, let's go back to, let me go back up here to our agenda. Where is the agenda? It's right here. Okay. Let's go back to the system. There is actually no widget on this page to include an attachment with the financial reports. So the SF-425 can only be sent by itself. If you need to send additional documentation, we'll show you another way that you can do that in just a few minutes. But on this particular screen, there's no attachment for your SF-425. All right, let me go back to our agenda. I believe we have addressed all of number 1. Let me just check our questions, see if there's anything there. Let's see. Got a few questions here, so let me kind of go down these questions right here. All right. We are going to get to drawing the funds through ASAP. That's our next part of our agenda, so I'm not going to answer that question just yet. So any ASAP questions we're getting ready to get into. Why do you send a threatening email if we explain the 5,000 over balance? It is just because the system was built that way according to NOAA's specification, and EDA is using a system that was built to NOAA's specs. So if you get an email from the system because of the $5,000 cash on hand, just touch bases with your project officer. If you have put in the explanation, most likely you can ignore the system-generated email. But that is just the way the system was designed, and it is important for you as an EDA recipient to understand that this system was not originally designed for EDA's business process. It was actually designed for another Commerce Department bureau, which is NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. NOAA is actually the biggest grant-making bureau in the Department of Commerce. So NOAA initiated the development of the system 13 years ago, and EDA has been starting to move into this system starting about 3 years ago, and there is some pain points here as EDA is transitioning into Grants Online because, again, the system was completely developed with NOAA's business practice, and EDA's business practice is actually much different from NOAA's. So there are some areas in which you may just be getting notifications because that's the way NOAA does business, and EDA is just subject to those particular features of the system. You will have to just stay in contact with your own project officer to understand what you can, what you have to pay close attention to, and what things are more of just form letters and you can ignore. Okay? Let's see. Will you receive a confirmation email to confirm receipt of reports. Actually, I believe you may get it for the financial reports, but we just found out that you're not getting those confirmations for the progress reports. So that is something that we are adding to our queue of system change requests, and hopefully we will take care of that sometime in the future so that you will get your confirmation. But you can always check anytime the grants file and look at the status in the grants file. Let's see, do we add comments regarding negative cash in the agency box or in box 12? As a recipient, you should always enter your comments. Let me just go back over here. Recipient comments should always go here. I'm sorry, not agency use only. Right here, box 12. Box 12 where it says view/edit remarks. This is where recipient comments go. These comments are not for the recipients, they're for EDA. These comments right here are where you will enter your remarks. And I do see why you have that question about attachment, because it does say attach any explanation. So we do not actually allow upload of separate documents. So any explanations that you need to include should be added in this blue box right here. Okay, let me click back over to, that's not what I want. I want to go back here and right here. All right, so let's take a look at a couple more questions, and then we're going to move forward to the ASAP. You had invoices caught in the task area of another person on campus. Oh, okay, all right. I think I understand what may have happened there. Let me explain that a little bit. If the project office sends a report, back for revisions, will you get an email? And do we need to keep checking Grants Online until confirmation? You should not have to check Grants Online. You will get emails if you continue to be delinquent, but once you submit it, you are fine. If the project office does send it back to you, you will get an email that says you have gotten another task. That one you will get. What you won't get is when it's been accepted by your project office. So let me go back to this other question about your SF 425 possibly getting caught up in somebody else's inbox. Okay, so when you set up the people on your particular grant award, when you set up the users on your grant award, you can set up multiple people, as I said before, on any one role in Grants Online. So we'll take a quick look at this particular grants file. And I'm going to click down here on View the Award-Related Personnel and Submit. And let's see how this one is set up. I think there's only a few on this one. This one has two people set up with the Authorized Representative role. But notice nobody is set up for the Principal Investigator. You can also see it in this gray box up here. It says None Designated. So we're going to take care of that in just a minute. But we have one person set up as the business financial person. We have two people set up as the administrators, and that's it. That's who we have on this particular award. If you have multiple people set up as authorized representatives, business financial, any of these roles, if you have multiple people set up, when Grants Online sends notifications out for any workflow action, with one exception, they will go to everybody who is set up with that role. So everybody will get a task in their inbox when we send an action to you. So please note that if one person begins the task of creating the financial report, and you have multiple people set up as an authorized representative, when they forward to authorized representative, the task will go into both people's inboxes. Now, once one of them clicks on the task and takes an action to look at it, it will be removed from the inbox of the other person. When that happens, if you need to reassign the task back to the other person, to the initial person, that can be done by the recipient administrator or an authorized representative. And let me see. Here is a feature that's called task management. I don't think I have anything set up right now where I can reassign the task, but let me just click on that link for you. So on this link, you would select what role it is for the person who has, or the multiple people who have a particular task. Then you would either put in the award number, the user. Let's see if the authorized representative has anything. I don't think they do, but I'm going to put the award number in, ED 18 EGO 391 0001. And let's search. So in this case, there are nothing for them as an authorized representative. Let's look at their inbox and see if that's true. And that is true. They actually do have one task, but this task is for their other role. So this person, let's look at the account management, my profile. And we're going to look all the way down at the bottom of their profile. And see, this person actually has two roles on their account, okay? They have both an authorized representative and an administrator role on their account. The task that's in the inbox is for their role as a recipient administrator. So if we click on task management and we keep it as recipient administrator, put the same award number here, ED 18 EGO 391 0001. Let's see if we can find that task. And it's not finding it. Let's see. I'm not sure why it's not finding that task. I might be fat fingering at something, but normally you should get your task back. I'm not going to take too much time to investigate that right now, but that is one way to reassign the task. In this case, there is only one recipient administrator, I believe, so this is the only person that can do the task. And this task is actually the task that will allow this person to add the PI onto the grant. It can be done without having a task, but when you get a new award into your recipient organization, you will also get a task to the recipient administrator for them to add the PI. I'm going to click on View here. I'm going to view the Manage Award screen and submit. The same screen that we just looked at. But now I'm going to add a principal investigator. If I click on search, it gives me all of the people in this organization. In this case, there's only 2 people that are related to this organization. So I'm going to select the same person I'm using right now. So now we have set up that person as the PI on the award. Once I go down here and say Done, I'm going to go back to my grants file. I'm going to go to the Awards tab, search Awards, search that same award. Now you will see over here, instead of saying non-designated, it says Julie Decker, who I just put on as the principal investigator. And if I click on the grants file, I also see her name right here as the principal investigator. All right, let me go back again to my agenda because I think now we are going to go into ASAP Drawdown Award Action Request, especially reimbursements. Okay, so the first thing we were going to talk about is the similarities to your previous process. Basically, before you were in Grants Online, and let's see, let me just check to see, because I am not as familiar with your previous process, but I believe we have Bernadette Grafton, who is an EDA project officer, and even she's also in the EDA headquarters. She's very familiar with the EDA business processes. Bernadette is our liaison between the EDA Bureau and the Grants Online Program Management Office. So Bernadette, if I start speaking out of line, please jump in, or if you would like to discuss the previous process before we get into Grants Online, feel free to unmute yourself and go ahead and do that. In the meantime, my understanding of your previous process was that you had to submit an SF-270 directly to your project officer. Your project officer would then review your SF-270. They would then send it on to the NOAA Finance Office, and the NOAA Finance Office would then go into ASAP, and they would then release the funds that you would have gone into ASAP to request. So you had a two-part process then. You had to submit an SF-270 to EDA, and you had to go into ASAP and submit your drawdown request. We're basically trying to do the exact same thing within Grants Online. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you our workflow. And it is almost 3. Before we get into that, I forgot that I actually had a couple of polls set up to just kind of get an idea of who we have out there in our audience today. So we're going to kind of take a little quick break. We've been going on for almost an hour, and I'm going to ask you guys to tell us which EDA office actually issued your grant. Now, we actually have two sets of questions, so if you do not see yours in this first question, then wait a minute and we will do the second one. So let me launch this first poll. Okay. And you should now see on the screen a question about which EDA region your grant is in. I see we're running neck and neck between Atlanta, Texas, and none of the above. We have a few from the Chicago region and very few from the headquarters region. So it looks like it's mostly, let's see, mostly the Atlanta regional office, a few from the Austin regional office in Texas, and a few from our Chicago office. But it looks like the majority is actually none of the above. And so we're going to give you a couple more seconds to finish out this poll. And then we're going to flip over to the other one to see if the region that your grant award came from is from one of the other EDA offices. Okay? So we got a good amount of participation. About 60% of you voted in this poll. I'm going to close this one out. It's been up for almost a minute and a half. And 5 more seconds here. Let's close this. Okay, it's been a minute and a half. We're closing this one. And we're going to show the other one. All right, so here are the rest of the regional offices. So we've got a bunch of folks that are out of the Denver and Seattle, quite a few out of the Denver and Seattle regions. Now we have a few from our Philadelphia region. A couple of you actually have grants with bureaus other than EDA. So welcome. and a few people that do not yet have a grant award, but I'm assuming that you are anticipating or hoping that that will happen in the very near future. Okay, so right now we have, looks like on this particular poll, most of the respondents are with the Denver regional office, a good number with Seattle, and a good number with the Philadelphia regional office. All right, well, thank you very much. That was our little break here. I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll right here. And we're going to go ahead and get back to our agenda. Let me just take a quick look at the questions. Does the financial report need to be signed before submittal? The actual action that you take to press the submit button when you forward it to the agency, we consider that an electronic signature. So there's no wet ink signature that is needed. Let's see. We're getting ready to go through the ASAP process, so I'm not going to answer the ASAP questions just yet. Let's see. If you want to print out the SF-425 for your own records, you can do it at any time. You may want to wait until after it's actually accepted by your project officer before you print it out, so you can have both signatures on your printout. Okay, let's see. Assuming it will not be accessible once it's submitted. Your reports are accessible by you as a grant recipient, however, they will be locked. You will not be able to make changes once it's submitted, but it's always going to be available on the grants file. You can open it up and look at it at any time. For submitted progress and financial report, current status for the one submitted earlier this month is submitted. How long should I wait before asking for approval? I am not sure. I think that's between you and your project officer. So I would just say whenever you are concerned, just go ahead and correspond with your project officer and see if they can provide an explanation if it seems to be taking longer than normal. You're asked to submit quarterly SF-425s and also the SF-270s. Once you approve the request, okay, I'm going to go through that in just a few minutes. Okay. All of the ASAP drawdown questions, hopefully we'll answer those in just a few minutes. I'm just trying to get through the questions to see if there are any. Let's see, do all of the roles need to be designated on the awards in order to use the functions of the system? If one person only has an authorized representative role, that one person can do everything that needs to be done in the system. So if you have a very small organization and you only have one person, they can do everything in the system. I take that back. There is one exception. A person has to have both an authorized representative and a recipient administrator role. But if there's only one person, it's really not going to be anything for them to do as a recipient administrator because they're the only one with an account. Other than that, if you don't have an authorized representative role, then if you only have a PI role or you only have a financial role, somebody has to also be designated as an authorized representative in order to function in the system. When are notifications removed? How do we remove them once completed? Well, notifications are just emails, and let's flip over to the Grants Online system. And let's look at this person's profile. Let's see, let me get over here, see if I can show. Under the inbox, we have notifications right here. These notifications are copies of the emails that we send to you in outside of Grants Online. Most people hardly ever even look over here, but you can archive your notifications if you want by checking on the ones that you don't want to show up in this section. So you can check the ones you want, and you can either completely delete them or you can archive them. That's up to you. Most people never even pay attention to that notification feature, but you do have the ability to delete or archive out of that particular area of Grants Online. Okay. Task, on the other hand, task will only be removed from your inbox once you have completed the activity on that task and selected the option to forward to the next person in the workflow. All right, let me flip back to our agenda. And let's get in now into our ASAP Drawdown Award Action Request. First thing I want to show you before we actually do anything in Grants Online is the process map that kind of shows you conceptually how that works. To get to the process maps or to any of the other training resources while you are inside of the Grants Online, and now you don't have your Need Help button on the outside, but you do have a Help tab on the inside of Grants Online now that you're logged in. It takes you to the exact same page as that Need Help button. So from this page, you can click on the training website and get back to the training website. From here, you can go to the Grant Recipient Training Resources. From the Grant Recipient Training Resources, number 7 is the Award Action Request Guidance. All of your awards, I believe, in Grants Online correspond to 2 CFR Part 200, which is the federal regulations for grant awards from all federal agencies. So you would click on this guidance document right here, and this will give you, oh, sorry, I'm going too fast here. Let me kind of slow down, go back to the top. In this guidance document, okay, so here we are, our opening page. Some overall guidance about the business rules within the Department of Commerce. And then as we go down to page 4, you've got a link that goes to the process maps that govern the workflow for award action requests in Grants Online. So let's just click on that link. And here are our process maps. Now I'm going to focus in on AAR-5, which is our ASAP Drawdown Request. AAR means Award Action Request. We're going to go down to process map 5, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so here is 5 right here. Hopefully you can see most of this process map. All right, so this is the process map for ASAP Drawdown Request. As a recipient or business person within your organization, you would start the whole process within Grants Online. So Grants Online will start the process when you are ready to draw down funds from ASAP. You do not go to ASAP first. You go to Grants Online first. So in Grants Online, you're going to find your award, and then you're going to click on the option that allows you to create an award action request. So let's go ahead and see if we can follow this process map within the system. I'm in Grants Online, and I will not have a task in my inbox. Let me just go ahead and clear this one because we finished adding the PI, so we'll go ahead and clear that task out of the inbox. But I am going to now go into Grants Online. We're already in. We're going to go to that award, go to the Awards tab, search for the award, search, pick it up from the award number, and we're back on our grants file. From our grants file, on your drop down, right at the top of the grants file, you have an option to create award action request. You're going to select that one and submit. And that is this right here. It says click on create ASAP drawdown request. That is actually the second step you're going to take. So on this page are many different types of award action requests. If we have time later on, we can get into more details for some of the others, but today we're focusing right here on the ASAP drawdown request, the very last one on the second column. So I'm going to click on ASAP drawdown request and bring up a very simple screen. Okay. Basically, you fill in the items on the screen. I'm going to put today's date of 5/10/2018. Requested amount, we want $1,000. And the period, we're going to say this is from April 1st to 30th. So 04, 01, 201, 2018. Here is our slash. There we go. 204/30/2018. All right. How many expenditures have we had to date from the beginning of the award? Let's say we've had $10,000 in expenditures to date. And we previously requested 90. I mean 900. 90. No, sorry. We have previously requested 9,000. 9,000. Total expenditure 10,000. We previously requested 9,000, so we're asking for the next 1,000 right here. Then you put in an explanation, okay? Explanation goes here for this 1,000. For this amount. Now, in addition to that, this particular set of data fields, you also are being asked to submit an SF270 form. So you're going to have to get that from your desktop if you have any, or let me see if I have one. Before I go any further, though, I don't have a place to add it until the document is successfully saved. So I must first click the Save button here, and now I will have the ability to add my attachment. So I'm going to click on the plus sign here, choose. I'm not sure if I have an SF270. Yeah, I've got one. This was for another organization, so I'm just going to pick up this SF270 here. Oh, no, that's an old one, 272. That's not the one I want. Here's a 270. Okay, so that's an SF270 form that I have already filled out, and now I'm uploading it. And I'm not going to even open the document because I don't want to get into the details of the SF-270. You will need to talk to your project officer if you have questions about the actual content of the SF-270. But you just need to upload it here and save it as an attachment to your ASAP drawdown request. So now we have our word action request and we have our attached SF-270 on our word action request. At this point, you can click Save and Start Workflow. Okay. Remember that you have not yet forwarded it to EDA. Let's click back on our process map. We're still right here. We just created it. We have not yet forwarded it. Now, because I am already the authorized representative, I don't need to forward it to the authorized representative. I will have the ability to forward to the agency. So let's get back here. It's online, look at our drop-down options, and I have forward to agency as an option and submit. Okay. At this point, I have completed my steps in Grants Online, but I have not completed everything that I should do. Let's take a look at our process map. We now have to wait for our project officer. So wherever you see in Grants Online process maps, where it says grant specialist, that's your project officer, and where you see assigned program officer, that's also your project officer. In NOAA, the grant specialist and the program officers are two different people, but in EDA, they're both the same person, and they're called your project officer. So now the project officer has your request in Grants Online, which includes the attached SF-270. They are going to do their internal reviews of the request that you just sent in, and then the project officer is going to accept that particular ASAP drawdown request within Grants Online. When they click the Accept button in Grants Online, it will send to your authorized representative an email that says that your drawdown request has been accepted and you can now get into ASAP to submit the request for your funds. There's no use in going to ASAP prior to that because you don't know if there's any issues with the request on your SF-270. So you want to wait for EDA to process the SF-270 that you sent in, and then you will get notified when it has been approved. At that point, you go into ASAP and submit your request within the ASAP.gov system. At the same time that you get the approval notification, a task also goes to our NOAA Finance Office, because it is the NOAA Finance Office that supports EDA when it comes to the financial and accounting parts of the grants business. The finance officer, the person in the NOAA Finance Office that we call the ASAP authorizer, that person will then know to go into ASAP and release the funds that you have just requested. Now, because they get their task at the same time you get the notification, they will not see your request immediately. They will keep this in their inbox as a reminder, and they're going to constantly check ASAP for your request. Once they see your request out there, they're going to go ahead and release those funds, and that will then send a notification to the recipient that the funds have been released and they should be in your bank account at that point. So that is the process. And let me go here back to our webinar. Let's see what questions we have and see if I can answer some of our questions regarding the ASAP process now. Let's see. Let me go back to some of the earlier questions because we had some earlier questions about ASAP. So, yes, your project person told you not to submit the request in ASAP until she approved what she entered in Grants Online, and that is indeed the process. You want to wait until after you know that the approval has taken place by EDA before you go into ASAP, because there will be nothing for you will not be able to, this person right here, she's not going to release those funds until this email goes out to you that's been approved. So not until your project officer accepts the request in Grants Online will your ASAP person go in and release your funds. Let's see. Keep going down here. A lot of questions, so please bear with me. Do you get a notification that's been approved? Yes, you do get a notification. Do all of the roles? Okay, we answered that one. Let's keep going down here. When notifications? Okay, we talked about that. Do you have to have a PIPD listed? Again, you don't actually have to have that person's listed, but if no one is listed, then all of our notifications that would normally go to your PI will go to the authorized representative. If your email address is incorrect on your role, you can actually correct this yourself, or you can contact your recipient administrator, who is responsible for the accounts within your organization, and they should be able to help you make that correction. If they are unable to do it, then you can contact the Grants Online Help Desk. All right, if your main account holder retires, you need to reassign full control to the new director, okay? You need to talk to your recipient administrator to take care of the accounts, but if you don't have anyone in your organization that's available, then please contact our help desk, and we will work with your project officer and your organization to make sure everything is set up properly. Some confusion by the wording of the automated emails. Okay, so we are capturing all of your questions, so we will review them and see if there's something that can be done better, if the notification can be worded better to help you understand what the next step is. Okay, what is a typical response time frame for each approval step? I would have to turn that over to someone in EDA to respond to that, because it is just an internal EDA process. The next is it's whenever they're done, they will hit the buttons in the system, but I am not comfortable enough with their business process. And because each region actually operates a little bit differently, you would really need to talk to your own project officer to get an idea of that time frame. All right. If you submit a request but forget to attach the document, how can you attach after submitting? You cannot really attach it after you submit. You can contact your project officer and ask them to send it back to you, and then you can attach it and then send it back to them. If your report was already accepted and you need to submit something with an attachment, then if it's a progress report, you can actually revise the report. And we haven't gone into that now. If we have time, we could go into that a little bit later. If it is one of these ASAP drawdown requests, you can always contact your project officer and ask them to send it back to you so that you can upload an attachment. Okay. Somebody said they've been drawing funds from ASAP for years, did not submit an SF-270. Oh, yes. Okay, so this is a little bit of a change in EDA's business process. You really need to talk to your project officer as to why you now need to submit an ASAP 270 when you didn't before. There are some changes that were made between the use of Grants Online and the NOAA Finance Office, who does your approvals, and between the EDA business process. So talk to your project officer. Our Grants Online help desk would not be able to explain to you why you have to do this now. We can only help you with the mechanics of actually submitting the SF-270. Okay. I'm still not clear on my first question. We're on ASAP, the grant agreement. Oh, your quarterly payments. Okay. We may have to take up do a separate meeting on those who used to be able to just draw down quarterly. Bernadette, if you can make a note that we may need to do a separate webinar to talk specifically to those recipients that used to be able to go in and draw down quarterly and to explain to them why they can't do it right now. That's a little bit too much into the EDA business process for me to discuss now. I'm not familiar enough to do that. So we will try to address that separately. Either with a separate meeting, or we will gather the information and send it to you in an email. Okay? Previously, when we sent agreements by mail, we were given exhibits. Is there a way to get a copy of the complete grant agreement with the exhibits? You may, I'm not sure if you're talking about, let's go to our grants file. Because if you think of the grants file should have everything you need. Let me just show you how to get all of your documentation from the grants file. If you scroll down on your grants file and click on Award Package, and then click on Go to Award Package Details. This is what we call the CD 450 page. It's a Commerce Department form, and it's basically the cover page for your grant award. And then from this page, you will have links to the various terms and conditions that are associated with your grant award. So here's the Department of Commerce terms and conditions. If you're not research, you won't have any of those clicks. If you have specific special award conditions, now again, this is in our test system, so it doesn't have, it's not a full-blown grant award like you would normally get, but EDA will have another attachment down here in the attachment section. You will have several attachments, and one or two of them will contain special award conditions. So those will be additional, probably where some of your exhibits that you're looking for would be in that attachment section. Here is your link to the 2 CFR Part 200 and another link to Department of Commerce pre-award notification requirements. So hopefully everything that you need to access that are terms and conditions related to this grant award, you should be able to get to them from this page right here. If there's anything that you cannot find from this page, check with your project officer, and if they're not able to help you, then you can maybe do a conference call with your project officer and the Grants Online help desk to help you navigate and find what you're looking for. Okay? Let me go back to our questions. Further down here. Let's see. If you're grant administrator for a city and not a staff person for a city, who should do the SF-425? I'm not sure. I think you might, again, might need to talk to your project officer to get a better understanding as to that particular question. It's not really a Grants Online systems question. I think you just need to find out with the way your particular grant award and the way your organization is set up, who is the main person. need to know how to make it so I receive a notification of when to request dollars in ASAP. Hopefully, what we just went to will provide you the information you need, but if we have not answered your question, please type it in again and we'll try to answer it. If the ASAP drawdown has been rejected, what are the next steps? Most likely, you will have to submit another one and make the corrections that are needed, whatever is the reason for the rejection, and then just submit another one. You need to receive an email as to when to make the ASAP drawdown request. Again, we can look further as to who is actually getting that email. It looks like right now it's only going to the authorized representative. We can probably make sure it also goes to the financial people. It may be going to that now, but we'll look into that. We will make a note to check and make sure that the notification not only goes to the authorized representative, but it also goes to the financial people who start the process. So we have noted that, and we will look into that and see if we can make sure that is taken care of. If the ASAP drawdown request is not listed in the AAR index page, that is because your organization has not yet completed the ASAP enrollment process. Until you are fully registered in ASAP, you will not actually see that link on the AAR page. So we will just look into that. If you still need to understand how to get enrolled in ASAP, then you can contact your project officer. ASAP enrollment request. Right now, that particular button is not for EDA because the workflow under it only works for the NOAA recipients. But after we do our new release in a week and a half, you will be able to use that particular feature to start the process. If your organization is not enrolled in ASAP, we will have some documentation available to you once we add that to our production system, and you will get some more information as to how to do that, how to register with ASAP. Okay? The ASAP SF-270 should only be used by organizations that are unable to draw down funds. That is true for some other bureaus in the Department of Commerce, but EDA also requests the SF-270 even if you also use the ASAP system. So that is an EDA business process rule. Okay. I was not aware of having to go to Grants Online for this new award. Can I now submit the SF-270? You should be able to. Why does Grants Online not have a fillable SF-270 to attach to the request? We actually do have a fillable SF-270, but it is for those who are not using ASAP. We don't have one available for those of you that use ASAP because only EDA requires the SF-270. The other bureaus do not require it. And so you need to go ahead and just have a fillable PDF available, fill it in, and then just upload it as an attachment. Okay.
Lillian, this is Bernadette.
Yes.
I just wanted to jump in there and mention that EDA has an SF-270 on our website.
Okay.
So if folks need to easily access it, they can find it there.
You want me to navigate over there? Will it be helpful to show where it is?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me know. Is it EDA.gov?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm just going to see if I can. It's been a little bit since I've been there, so I'm looking there myself. Possibly current grantee forms.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Yeah,
so there's
right.
the 270 And yeah,
right here.
so
Yep.
everybody can download that, and it's a fillable form.
There you go.
While
Thank
you're
you,
there,
Bernadette.
if you can scroll down for a second.
Yes.
See the indirect cost instructions?
Yes.
For our grantees who are for whom EDA is the cognizant agency, this indirect cost instructions PDF is updated periodically, so keep checking there for information on the program and any FAQs and all of that. I just wanted to put a little plug in while you were there.
All right. All right. Anything else? I mean, you've been listening, and I'm not sure how I'm doing because you are the EDA expert, so please do exactly what you did. Jump on in.
You're doing great. Thanks. You can continue.
Okay. Let's get back to our agenda and see what else is on it that we need to cover. All right, so I think we covered the ASAP drawdown request pretty well. Attachments in general throughout Grants Online. Well, we've seen several places where you can do attachment. One thing I do want to just mention is that when you're attaching anything in Grants Online, many times you won't have the ability to add an attachment until you save the document that you're working on. So again, if you're doing an award action request, let's go back to our grants file. And you start an award action request. Any award action request, say you have to rebudget, okay? Again, you need to upload attachments, but you can't do it. There's no attachment widget yet. And that is because you must click the Save button. So you have to put something here. Okay, and then click your Save button, and then that will allow you to get to this attachment widget here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cancel off of the screen. And let's look at where else in Grants Online you can upload. We talked about the progress reports already. We talked about the SF 425s that do not have an attachment. So if you do need to add or send to your project officer any kind of documentation and you wanted to attach it with the SF 425, which doesn't have an attachment, you can utilize the other award action request. So the catch-all right here, other award action requests. So click on that one, and then put in a description, put in a justification, and click Save. That'll give you your attachment widget, and then you can attach whatever you want, and then save and start workflow. And then send it on into the agency. All right, let's go back on our grants file. See if there's any place else that you can add an attachment. This attachment on the grants file, this is for our federal people, so your EDA people can use that and put general attachments in the grants file that's not available to you as a recipient. And I believe that's pretty much it when it comes to attachments. So for you to submit attachments, my recommendation, if there's no other place, if you're not doing it on a progress report, or if you're not satisfying special award conditions, then I would use the other award action request to submit any other attachments that you may have. All right, let's see what else. I think we may have covered everything on here. Let me take another look at our questions and see if there's something else that we can address. So, if you've used okay, this is a very good question. If you have used ASAP in the past 5 to 6 years, do you need to re-enroll? If you have been an ASAP recipient with NOAA in the past, we should be able to set your account up so that you are still, as long as you still have an active ASAP ID in the ASAP system, then we can set your account up so that you can utilize that ASAP ID. We need the NOAA Finance Office would need to know that information, so they would be the ones to check with and make sure that you are set up in ASAP, or actually you should know whether or not you're actively set up in ASAP. But if you are actively set up with an active ID in ASAP for EDA, it has to be for EDA, then you will not need to re-enroll in ASAP. All right.
Right. This is Bernadette again. And if folks if they are not currently connected to EDA in ASAP, they should go to their project officer first, because there's a specific form that needs to be filled out before it goes to the NOAA Finance folks.
Gotcha.
So enroll them in ASAP. Yeah.
To reiterate what Bernadette just said, you may have used ASAP for other bureaus or other agencies, but not EDA. So there is some paperwork that will be needed from your project officer. Your project officer will work with you on that one. All right. Could the SF-270 be added to grants? Okay, we went through that one. Let's see what else we have here. If an award action request has the title "Satisfy Specific Conditions," how do you find what those conditions are? That's a very good question. And actually, that particular feature is more conducive to the way NOAA does business. EDA's special conditions are all usually found in an attachment to, so if you were to run the special award condition report in Grants Online, you won't see it, any special award conditions there, because your special award conditions are usually attached to your award file here. Now, I don't have them in this particular test one, but you should go to your award package and take a look in the attachment section. And in your attachment section, you will see your special award conditions. If there are any that need to be satisfied, you may not be able to use the feature to set. Yeah, go ahead, Bernadette.
Yeah, EDA at some of our regional offices have some special award conditions that they've entered outside of that PDF document. It's not super common, but there are some with some of our grant programs. And so in those cases, you may encounter some special award conditions that need to be satisfied. But I would, again, as Lillian's been saying, work very closely with your project officer. They will be able to tell you everything you need to know and all those expectations. So just establish those that line of communication with them early in the grant process.
Let me go ahead and demonstrate what I believe they're asking. So if I go to the grants file and click on Create Award Action Request and click on Satisfy Specific Conditions, there's a drop down here that says please select the SAC name. But if there is nothing has been set up in Grants Online, a specific way to set up the special award conditions in Grants Online, if they're only on your award as an attachment, then you will not be able to utilize this feature to submit documentation that you have satisfied. In that case, again, I would go to the other award action request. If you need to submit some documentation that you satisfied a specific condition, then use the other award action request and submit it that way. All right, let's take a look back at our questions. All right, we're getting down to the Yeah, both an SF425 and an SF270. That's correct. The drawdown request. Okay. So if you submit a drawdown request and then you go back and look at it, it will indeed say that this document is locked, and that is because it is no longer within your organization. It's just like you put it in the mail and you send it to EDA. So you no longer actually have right access to it in terms of making edits on it, but you can still see it. Now it is in the federal agency, and if they want you or if you need to make changes, they will need to send it back to your organization via the Grants Online workflow so that you can make the changes. All right, I think we addressed where you can find the SF270. That's on the EDA website. Let's see. You have an approved ASAP drawdown request, but ASAP rejected it. You may need to talk to your project officer, and they will have to correspond with the NOAA Finance Office. I'm not quite sure what happened in that particular case. Let's see. Status says approved, ASAP authorized actions not started. What are my next steps? At that point, if that's what the status is on an ASAP drawdown request, it's probably sitting right here. Let me just kind of show you in the workflow. It's probably sitting at this step right here. So I'm sorry, not this step, down here. It's probably sitting here with the NOAA Finance Office, who has the person who has the role of the ASAP authorizer. So it has been approved right here, and you've got your notice that it's been approved. But now they are waiting for you to submit your request in the ASAP system. Then this person will go and release it in ASAP and then close their task in Grants Online. I believe that's probably what's going on with that one. Questions. Where are my questions? What did I do with them? Right here. I just lost my question panel. Hold on. Here we are. Questions. Here we are. All right. Almost to the bottom. Let's see. Oh, okay. In this case, ASAP enrollment was with NOAA. Was not with NOAA, it was with EDA. Oh, okay. So if you have an ASAP enrollment already with EDA, then you should be good. If your award is not set up in ASAP, but you already have been enrolled in ASAP with EDA, then definitely contact your project officer. They'll have to work with our office, the Grants Online Help Desk, and with the NOAA Finance Office so that we can get your award set up so that you are enrolled in ASAP. I filed an SF425 semi-annually. Will I need to complete an SF270 quarterly when I submit my ASAP request? Yes, the EDA business process, again, is that whenever you submit your ASAP drawdown request, you will also need to complete the SF270.
So let me just, I don't know if this will help clarify anything, but if folks can think of the SF270 as just your reimbursement form. This is the form that's needed for your reimbursement request. The Grants Online fields are the fields that are required in order for it to be sent to your grant specialist or your project officer. But we need to see the SF270 that details all of the numbers that we need in order to provide you with your reimbursement. So that's not there's no time requirement. It's not like you have to. I mean, every organization is different. I have some grantees that choose to submit their reimbursement request on a quarterly basis, along with all of their quarterly progress reports or quarterly financial reports. I have other grantees who choose to submit their reimbursement requests on a monthly basis, and that is completely independent of the required quarterly reporting. There are some EDA programs that are semi-annual as well, so there's the SF270 or reimbursement process doesn't necessarily have to coincide with the required reporting. But again, you got to work those things out with your project officer in terms of expectations and the type of grant program that you're specifically with. But the SF-270 is the required form for reimbursement. It's not, don't think of it as a quarterly report or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
That's all.
Good distinction. Bernadette, what about also prior to Grants Online, were they using an SF-270 for the reimbursement request? Prior to Grants Online?
As far as I know, we were.
No. Okay.
Yeah, at least for my program, we were.
Okay.
I'm not sure about some other ones.
So for those programs that were using it before, it's pretty much the same form. We're just sending it instead of via email. You're just sending it through this ASAP drawdown request process.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Let's see. We have one EDA grant that we are now submitting the SF-270s to our program office for processing before we go into ASAP to drawdown. Will this process change? No, that is what we just described, and for now, that is the EDA business process. To my knowledge, that process, there's no plans, Bernadette. There's no plans to change that process.
No plans to change it. That's where we're at.
All right. Well, we have completed the topics we wanted to review. We do have 7 minutes left before our 4 p.m. End of the webinar, so we'll just stay here for a couple more minutes unless we see that there are no more questions. We certainly appreciate everyone who joined us today, and we hope that this was helpful. Again, any questions that were submitted via the chat feature, they are recorded, so we do have a list of them. We will review them over the next few weeks and work with EDA to respond with any of them that we were not able to provide answers to. And also, Bernadette, we may need to put together something specifically for the folks that used to do the quarterly drawdowns to address this, because it's a little bit different from the others. They did not have to submit the SF-270s in the past.
I see.
So, so that's why I know that we're getting some questions from them, because they used to be able to go in ASAP and each quarter and just draw the funds. Yeah. So we can see if we can put something together for them. Okay. I don't see any other. Let's see. Bernadette, there's a request for your phone number and email. I think it was.
Yes.
I think it was in the, hold on, was it in the webinar email?
I'm not sure, but you can feel free to send it out to everybody. I mean, I can just say it now. It's bgrafton1 at eda.gov.
bgrafton, I'm going to send it to everyone, chat it to everybody.
Okay.
bgrafton1 at eda.gov. All right, there we go. Send to all. I don't think we want to send your phone number to 400 people.
No, let's just stick with the email. I'm pretty responsive to email. It's easier for me to respond that way anyway.
Okay. So you should now have Bernadette's email address, and yeah, it'll be easier for her to get back to you instead of getting a whole bunch of voicemails. Okay. It looks like that's it on the questions. So we'll go ahead and give you 5 minutes back. We certainly, again, appreciate your joining our webinar. I, again, hope that it was very helpful. You will get a, I don't think it's a survey, but there will be a way for you to provide feedback. The GoToMeeting sends out a way for you to provide feedback. So feel free to give us feedback on how this particular one went so that we can improve the next one. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your afternoon or your morning, whatever time frame you're in. And we will have another webinar next quarter, and it will be in August. Thank you, Bernadette.
Great. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and end this for everyone, and bye-bye.